In the heart of London, the fog crept in, swirling like ghostly fingers around the dimly lit streets. It was there that Dr. Alistair Finch received an unexpected invitation, an elegant, cream-colored parchment delivered by a silent courier who disappeared as quickly as he arrived. The name at the top sent a shiver down Alistair's spine. Professor Ignatius Blackwood, a figure from his past, now a ghost, haunting the corridors of his memory. The letter was a cryptic promise, a beckoning to the vault of unspoken words, a mythical repository of an ancient culture that considered language a cage rather than a conduit of communication. They had sought a purer understanding, and according to Ignatius, they had found it, and damned themselves in the process. Alistair's heart raced as he read the last lines of the letter, filled with an unsettling urgency. Ignatius claimed to be in a monastery carved deep within the Ural Mountains, a place where silence was not merely the absence of sound, but an active, listening presence. Despite his reservations, the allure of their shared dream tugged at Alistair, awakening the ambitious scholar he used to be. Thus began a tumultuous journey, a flight to Moscow, a rattling train eastward, followed by a jarring jeep ride driven by a taciturn local who pointed him toward a narrow mountain pass. As the vehicle vanished into the thick pine forest, Alistair stood alone, bags in hand, the chill of the air sinking into his bones. The monastery emerged from the mountains like a wound in the rock, stark and foreboding in its black granite. The air was thin, the silence palpable, pressing against his eardrums like a living entity. When the massive door creaked open, Ignatius stood before him, a shadow of his former self. Pale and gaunt, his once bright eyes now flickered with an unsettling light, hauntingly vacant, yet filled with a strange resonance. "Alistair," he croaked, grasping Alistair's arm with a fevered intensity. "You feel it, don't you? The silence, it's listening." Ignatius led him through cold stone corridors, revealing a warren devoid of warmth and humanity. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, spiraling patterns that mesmerized and disoriented. They weren't mere symbols. They were an anti-language that deconstructed thought itself. At the heart of the monastery lay the vault, a vast circular chamber centered around a single obsidian bowl filled with still water. Ignatius spoke of it in hushed tones, reverence laced with fear. This was not a library of knowledge, but a tool for the monks had poured their understanding into the silence, allowing it to remember. Days turned into nights as Alistair attempted to apply his scholarly rigor, documenting the carvings and taking photographs, but the monastery resisted his logic. Devices failed him, and the biting cold seeped into his very essence. The silence began to work its way into his thoughts, tugging at memories, fragments of his childhood that flickered and vanished like shadows at dusk, leaving only a hollow ache within him. As Ignatius deteriorated, he succumbed to the silence, scribbling frantic notes in his journal, revealing a mind unraveling. Alistair read the entries, watching his friend slip further into the abyss, losing the essence of who he once was. The last entry sent a chill down Alistair's spine. "I am almost ready. The final step is to let go of the last word, the I, the most stubborn noise of all." Desperation ignited within Alistair, leading him to the central chamber, where Ignatius knelt before the bowl, mouthing the word I. Like a mantra, the very air crackled with tension as Alistair shouted, "Ignatius, no." His voice shattered the sacred quiet, revealing a flicker of recognition in Ignatius's haunted eyes before the light dimmed into empty tranquility. A wave of psychic force surged from the bowl, threatening to unmake Alistair. Memories flew from his mind, his father's laughter, the warmth of his mother's embrace, even the pang of first love, weaving a tapestry of his identity that was methodically severed. In a final act of defiance, he screamed, not a word, but a raw emotional outcry, a torrent of fear, anger, love, and the chaotic miracle of being alive. The silence recoiled, finding his noise too abrasive to process. In that moment, Alistair was spared, But Ignatius was not so fortunate. Alastair half-carried his catatonic friend out of the mountain's clutches, back to a world filled with sound and life. Ignatius would never speak again, his vibrant spirit trapped in a placid void. Alastair returned to his life, forever altered. The world felt too loud, too bright, and yet he craved the peace he had narrowly escaped. Each night in his quiet study, he traced spirals on his desk with trembling fingers, haunted by the seductive whisper of the void. What if the noise was the cage? And what if the silence was the key? With that thought nestled in his heart, he knew the vault awaited, and a part of him would always yearn to return.